Hello beloved souls, thank you for tuning into the Spiritual Podcasts channel. This channel is all about good vibes, positive energy, and meaningful conversations. To keep this space welcoming for everyone, I kindly ask that comments stay respectful, kind, and in the spirit of the content shared here. I reserve the right to delete any comments that don't align with this intention. No hard feelings, just protecting the vibe. Thanks for being here and spreading the light. Please be cautious of anyone claiming to represent Spiritual Podcast and asking you for money, donations, or personal information. We will never ask you for money through comments, messages, or DMs. All official updates and content come only from this channel. If you see suspicious activity, please report it immediately. Stay safe and thank you for being part of our community. If you enjoy the video and its content, please subscribe, share, and comment. Please be kind to other viewers of the channel. The video is about to start.
Welcome to the deep dive, where we try to cut through, all the noise and get to the stuff that really matters.
It's quite a world out there.
It really is. And it's funny, isn't it? You look at the news, social media, whatever, and it feels like this constant stream of, negativity, problems, conflicts, just gloom.
A lot of focus on what's going wrong.
Exactly. But then, at the same time, you've got these incredible breakthroughs happening. Science, medicine, things that offer real hope, real healing, possibilities we couldn't even dream of before.
Huge advancements, yeah.
So that's the puzzle, right? With all this progress, why do so many of us still feel like we're just treading water? Like genuinely living well feels out of reach. What's that gap?
That's a really big question, a central one, I think.
Well, today, that's exactly what we're diving into. This whole idea captured really nicely in Portuguese, actually.
Yeah.
Viver mal, basically. Living well and living poorly. And our guide for this is this really fascinating YouTube video. It's by Maze Braga from the TV Comment channel. It's packed with deep spiritual thoughts, but also these really relatable stories.
So spiritual reflections and practical examples.
Exactly. Weights them together beautifully. So our mission for you listening is kind of threefold. We want to dig into what living well really means beyond just, having stuff or feeling happy for a minute.
Deeper than the surface.
Right. And then explore the impact of our choices, the ones we make every day. Because the source suggests there are these unseen forces maybe that shape things.
Interesting, the hidden dynamics.
Yeah. And finally, pull out some hopefully practical ideas, ways to maybe cultivate a more positive, more purposeful way of being without getting bogged down, just the key insights.
And I think what's really useful here, even before we jump in, is that these kinds of conversations, even if they come from a specific spiritual place like this one seems to, they really hit on things that are universal, don't they? It doesn't matter what your background is, spiritually speaking. Totally. Questions about personal responsibility, destiny, what kind of life you're actually building. Everyone grapples with that stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's a great chance to just think critically, look inward a bit, and reflect on, what really guides your journey.
Okay, so let's start peeling back those layers. The absolute core question first. What does it actually mean to live well or live poorly? And like we said, not just materially, but deeper, spiritually.
Right. Beyond the bank account or the job title.
Yeah, because the source material really hints at this.
Yeah.
This big disconnect.
Yeah.
Like maybe we're fundamentally misunderstanding how to approach life, what actually feeds our spirit.
Well, the source mentions these spiritual friends or mentors, and they seem really concerned about two main areas where we as humans tend to fall short.
Okay, what are they?
The first one is autoconocimiento. That translates roughly as self-knowledge.
Right.
But it's not presented as, a walk in the park. The source stresses it takes real courage.
Courage. Why courage? Seems straightforward enough.
Well, because when you really start looking inside, honestly, you inevitably find the parts you prefer to, let's say, hide or camouflage, as the source puts it.
The uncomfortable bits.
Exactly. The tricky emotions, the patterns you don't like, the less than perfect aspects of yourself you'd rather just ignore.
We all have those.
We do. And if they stay ignored, unexamined, that's where the trouble starts. It leads to inner turmoil, which can come out as self-sabotage, anxiety, or even harming other people through what we say or do, or maybe just our vibe,
So self-knowledge is about facing your own shadow, basically.
Pretty much. Bravely looking at the whole picture, not just the highlight reel.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second area?
The second one is reforma intima, inner reform. And this is described as a great necessity.
Inner reform. So fixing yourself.
Kind of, but it's more ongoing than a quick fix. It implies this continuous, very deliberate process. You're constantly working on yourself, on your character.
Okay, not a one-and-done thing.
Definitely not. It's about actively trying to shed the traits you don't want. Impatience, maybe, or judgment, and consciously trying to cultivate the good stuff. Patience, compassion, resilience. Bit by bit, every day.
Like spiritual gardening, maybe? Weeding and planting?
That's a great analogy, yeah. Constant tending.
So, if we're not doing these two things, the self-knowledge and the inner reform, how does that actually show up? How does that become living poorly in this deeper sense?
Well, it's not necessarily about being poor, materially speaking. It's more about that inner state, isn't it?
Right.
It shows up as that feeling of discontent, that nagging emptiness maybe, or just frustration that doesn't seem to go away no matter what you achieve on the outside.
I think we can all relate to that feeling sometimes.
Absolutely. Or it might manifest as like chronic complaining, always feeling like a victim, or noticing the same problems cropping up again and again in your life, like a pattern you can't break.
The recurring themes.
Exactly. It's basically when your inner world is, well, it's out of alignment with who you could be, your best self. And that inner misalignment inevitably plays out in your external life, affecting your well-being and, yeah, the well-being of people around you too.
Okay, so living poorly is this internal state that then ripples outwards.
That's a good way to put it. The internal state isn't just internal.
And this is where it gets really, really vivid, I think. Because the sources don't just talk theories, they share these incredible stories about Reesgate, which means redemption, repercussion.
Kind of like karmic return or settling a spiritual debt. It implies a balancing of accounts from past actions.
Right, and these stories show how actions, maybe even from previous lives, could just pop up in the present in these incredibly specific, almost, well, chilling ways.
They really illustrate the idea that choices have long-lasting echoes.
Let's talk about the first one, Maria Amelia and the bees.
Ah, yes. That's a very striking example. The story starts by mentioning Sir Juan Ibero. The source calls him an absolute sweetheart. He was involved in this work called Pressa dos Suicidas, which translates kind of like urgency for suicides or maybe rush of suicide support at a spiritual center alongside a Doña Ana.
That sounds intense. What was it?
It was basically offering spiritual guidance and comfort to people thinking about suicide and also to their families. It started as just a 15-minute session.
Only 15 minutes.
Yeah, but the need was so great, sadly, it had to be expanded to 30 minutes, sometimes even longer. The current director, Lissier, apparently notes this heartbreaking increase in parents needing help because their kids, some as young as 9, have tragically taken their own lives.
Wow. It's incredibly sad.
It really is. Anyway, Su Xuan, who was originally from a town called Araguari, apparently loved to read this particular psychographed message from Chico Xavier. It told Maria Amelia's story. And it affected him deeply because he actually knew the family involved.
He knew the family, so this felt very real to him.
Very real. And the story itself is set back in colonial Brazil.
Okay, setting the scene.
You have Maria Amelia, a young woman, and she's completely, passionately in love with her cousin, convinced they're meant to be.
Right, a classic setup.
But then, disaster strikes, from her perspective. The cousin comes back to the family farm, but he's not alone. He arrives with a fiancé, announces they're getting married.
Oh no. You can just imagine the shock, the jealousy.
Exactly. Pure devastation for Maria Amelia. And this is where her path takes a very dark turn.
Uh-oh.
The source makes a point here. It says that maybe a more evangelized woman today, meaning someone with more spiritual understanding, might perhaps die of a broken heart, but wouldn't resort to murder.
Okay. So Maria Amelia didn't have that restraint.
Apparently not. At that point in her soul's journey, she lacked that development. So instead of processing her grief, she plots this cold, calculated revenge.
Revenge. How?
While walking on the farm, she discovers this huge swarm of bees, a huge house of bees. The source says that the gardeners had somehow missed.
Okay, a giant beehive. That sounds dangerous.
And her plan was brutal. She decided she'd invite the fiancé out for a horseback ride.
Right.
And when they reached a specific spot right under that bee tree, she'd whip the fiancé's horse, make it rear up, provoke the bees,
Oh my God.
and incite them to attack her rival, while Maria Amelia herself would ride away to safety.
That is horrific. And calculated.
Chillingly so.
Yeah.
And she pulled it off. She pretended to be thrilled about the engagement, suggested the ride. The fiancé, completely unsuspecting, agreed.
Trusting her completely.
Completely. The next morning, they ride out. Maria Amelia spurs the other horse right under the bee tree. Horse rears, bees swarm. Maria Amelia flees, just as planned.
And the fiancé.
Left behind, stung to death by the enraged bees.
Unbelievable.
Maria Amelia then rides back, puts on this whole tears, distress, claims it was a terrible accident, and eventually, the heartbroken cousin finds comfort with her, and they end up getting married.
Wow. Talk about manipulation. A truly dark story.
It really is. But then comes the rescate. The payback, if you will.
Okay, how did that unfold?
Years later, maybe early 1970s, Maria Amelia dies or disincarnates, leaves her physical body.
Right.
But here's the crucial part, according to the source. In the spiritual world, she chose to come back to Earth specifically to pay this karmic debt.
She chose it to face the consequences.
That's the core idea. So in her next life, she's a college student. She's out having a picnic with friends. Where? Under a tree described as apparently safe.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, this enormous swarm of aggressive African bees appears. And out of everyone there, only Maria Amelia is attacked. And she's killed by the bees.
Exactly, mirroring her crime.
Precisely. It was the fulfillment of the rescate she had planned for herself before returning. What's stunning is the precision, isn't it?
It really is not just random bad luck, but a specific, tailored consequence.
Exactly. Which really makes you think, doesn't it? This idea of a chosen consequence, a planned rescate. How does that fit with our usual ideas of fate versus free will?
Yeah, it suggests a kind of spiritual agency, even in what looks like destiny. Like you choose your curriculum, even the hard lessons.
It moves it beyond just punishment, doesn't it? It becomes about purposeful soul growth, balancing the scales you yourself tipped over.
That's a huge concept to wrestle with. Yeah. And you mentioned the sources imply these choices aren't made lightly, they're guided.
Yes, the implication is that these aren't impulsive decisions made in the heat of spiritual enthusiasm, although enthusiasm is mentioned. They're often planned with the guidance of more experienced spiritual mentors.
Okay, so it's a guided curriculum.
A carefully considered path for growth, which we agree to, even if we forget the agreement once we're back here.
Which explains why we complain so much later.
Exactly, we forget we signed up for the course.
Okay, there's another story illustrating this, right? The carnival couple and the flood.
Yes, another vivid example of this precise, chosen rescate. This one happens in Rio during Carnival.
Right, the chaos of Carnival.
You have a young man and woman. They're just colleagues from work, friends. They go to a carnival ball together.
Okay.
On the way home, they're in a little VW Beetle, a Fusca, and they get caught in one of those sudden, intense floods that Rio sometimes experiences.
Oh, those can be terrifyingly fast.
And tragically, the car gets submerged, the doors jam, they can't get out, and they both drown.
How awful. Just a random tragedy, it seems.
That's how their family saw it, naturally, completely devastating. But months later...
There's a spiritual message.
Yes, via the famous medium Chico Xavier back in Uberaba. The young woman sends a message from the other side.
And what did she reveal?
She explained that although they were just work friends in this life, in a previous life, they were companions of a very different kind. They were highway robbers together.
Highway robbers? Seriously?
Yes. And apparently their method was particularly brutal. After robbing carriages, they would push them off cliffs into precipices to make sure there were no witnesses left.
Good grief. Eliminating everyone.
Exactly. So their death in that flood, trapped inside the car, unable to escape, drowning.
Was their shared rescape their death?
Precisely. It was the way they could settle that old, heavy karmic account together. And by doing so, they could return to true life, the spiritual life, with clear consciences, finally free from that burden.
Wow. So again, what looks like a random, cruel accident is framed as purposeful, part of a larger spiritual plan.
That's the core idea. These events, however tragic they seem from our limited view, are seen as opportunities for souls to balance their accounts and move forward on their evolutionary path.
So if we tie these stories together, the big takeaway seems to be that we often carry these debts, these agreements, maybe from past lives. And these rescates, these balancing acts, they're often planned before we even get here. Like the spiritual mentors might ask, you sure about this one? It's going to be tough.
And in our spiritual eagerness, maybe wanting to grow quickly, we say, yeah, I can handle it.
Right. But then we arrive, the veil of forgetfulness drops.
Amnesia kicks in.
And suddenly we're here complaining, why me? Why is life so unfair? we completely forget we might have actually chosen this challenge for our own good.
It puts a completely different spin on suffering, doesn't it? If you see it not as arbitrary punishment, but as a chosen part of your growth plan.
It really does. It shifts you from feeling like a victim to, well, maybe a student. Yeah. A soul undergoing a planned curriculum.
Exactly. And connecting this to the bigger picture, this framework offers a way to understand things that otherwise seem senseless. Random tragedies, chronic illnesses, difficult relationships. Maybe they aren't just random cosmic static. Maybe they're part of this deeper, purposeful structure. A structure designed for our ultimate growth, overseen by wisdom far greater than our own earthly understanding.
It suggests a universe that's actually incredibly ordered and just, even when it looks chaotic from down here.
A universe where every experience, even the painful ones, ultimately serves a purpose in our soul's long journey.
Okay, so if that's the framework, that our challenges are often part of a plan, maybe even self-chosen, then the attitude we bring to them becomes incredibly important. Which brings us to complaining.
Yes. The sources are very, very clear on this.
How clear?
Unequivocal, really. They state it flat out. When you complain, you live poorly. Period.
Just like that. Living poorly, complaining.
Pretty much. And it's not just seen as a bad habit, it's described as having real energetic consequences.
Energetic? How so?
The source talks about vibration energy that's complicated for those who live complaining. The idea is that complaining actively lowers your own energetic frequency.
Like tuning into a negative radio station.
Exactly, and like attracts like, so you end up drawing more negativity, more things to complain about towards yourself. It becomes this downward spiral.
A self-fulfilling prophecy of misery.
That's a good way to put it. And the speaker in the source material even noticed a trend, especially during the pandemic years.
Oh yeah. What did you notice?
She said, "I've never seen so many people complain for everything and nothing. Just this pervasive culture of lament, focusing on what's wrong, rather than, say, finding solutions or adapting."
Yeah, I think we all saw a bit of that. It felt heavy sometimes.
And that heaviness isn't just internal, is it? It radiates. It affects the atmosphere, the people around you. It's spiritually draining for everyone.
Which leads perfectly into the next point.
Yeah.
This negativity doesn't just stay in your head or your energy field, right? The body gets involved.
Absolutely. The sources use that striking phrase, "the body speaks."
Not just a metaphor then.
Not at all. It's presented as a direct validation of that mind-body-spirit connection. Our inner state, our emotions, our spiritual balance, or lack thereof, directly impacts our physical health.
Okay, how does that manifest?
Well, when we're living poorly, energetically, always complaining, holding on to negativity, the body starts reflecting that.
Like?
Unexplained aches and pains, maybe, chronic conditions flaring up, or sometimes old illnesses you thought were gone suddenly reappear.
Like a physical resgate. An old debt showing up in the body.
That's exactly the implication. The body is literally manifesting the unresolved inner stuff. It's like it's crying out, saying, "Hey, pay attention, something's not right inside."
Wow, okay. But the flip side is also true.
Oh, absolutely. The sources talk about people who actively cultivate sintonia compositivo, basically, staying attuned to positivity, gratitude, inner harmony.
They tune into the good station.
Right. And these people show incredible resilience. Even when they're facing serious illness, tough diagnoses, they can have these amazing recoveries, things that doctors just can't explain medically.
Because their inner state is supporting the healing.
Precisely. It highlights the immense power of mindset, inner work, and that spiritual harmony. It can influence our physical reality way beyond what medicine alone can achieve.
So putting it all together, medicine, science, psychology, they're vital tools, obviously.
Incredibly important, yes.
But they might not be the whole picture, especially for deep, lasting well-being.
That seems to be the message. The external support is crucial, but the real foundational work, shifting your mindset, doing that inner reform, taking responsibility for your energy, that has to start with us.
It's an inside job.
Completely. Without that internal shift, the external fixes might only be temporary bandages, not a true cure for what's causing the disease in the first place. You need that strong inner foundation.
In building that foundation, doing that inner work, it's not just about feeling better today, is it? The sources really emphasize preparing for, well, what comes next.
Exactly. It's about the long game, the spiritual journey. And they bring in some heavy hitters like Andre Luis and Chico Xavier to drive this point home.
Okay, let's start with Andre Luis. His story sounds like a bit of a warning.
It is, but ultimately hopeful too. So Andre Luis, in his life on Earth, was this prominent doctor, a scientist, very rational, very intellectual.
Okay, a man of science.
Very much so. But the source says he never managed to think there was life beyond death. He completely lacked a minimum of spirituality. His focus was entirely on the material world.
Focused only on what he could see and measure.
Right, and because of that exclusive focus, when he died, he arrived on the other side as a beggar.
A beggar, spiritually speaking.
Exactly. Spiritually destitute, lost, suffering. Despite all his earthly success, his own experience was apparently quite harrowing.
Wow. So what was his message based on that?
His message, right from his first book, No Solar, or Our Home, which detailed his experiences, is crystal clear. He categorically states, before the great shadow arrives, meaning death.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself. It's not meant to scare people, but to urge proactive spiritual awareness. Don't wait until the last minute.
That's pretty direct. And you can see how maybe younger people, say teenagers, might not think about this much. Death seems so far away.
It often does. But the source gives that gentle, sobering reminder. Young hearts also stop. Life isn't guaranteed for anyone.
Sure.
So the call isn't to be morbid, but just to occasionally pause and think, what am I actually packing in my spiritual suitcase for the next journey? What baggage am I carrying?
It makes you reconsider your priorities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What are you investing your time and energy in now?
Exactly. And that leads right into challenging our attachment to, well, stuff. Materialism.
Ah, the things we collect.
The speaker in the source even admits that when things get tough financially in her own life, it makes her think, okay, maybe it's time to detach from so much matter.
A personal wake-up call.
Yeah, and this connects to a broader point the sources make about the huge wealth gap in the world.
Right, the disparity.
They highlight that contrast. You have people who spend a fortune on a dress when so many people are in need, and that same money could help so much.
It really puts things in perspective.
It does, and it immediately brings up that question of responsibility, doesn't it? Not just for our own souls, but how we use our resources in a world where so many are struggling. Are our actions aligned with our values?
That's a heavy question. A necessary one, maybe. So that's Andre Luiz's warning and call to prepare. What about Chico Xavier? His perspective sounds different.
Very different, but equally profound. Chico's wisdom is more about how to live now, day by day, with perseverance and grace.
And he lived a long life, right? Despite challenges.
He lived to 92, which is remarkable considering he faced serious health difficulties pretty much his whole life. He really embodied perseverance.
So what was his secret? His trick for living so long and seemingly so well, despite the struggles?
When people asked him, his answer was incredibly simple, yet so deep. He'd say, the only thing I do when dawn breaks is, Lord, just one more day. Lord, just one more day.
Just one more day. Wow.
It sounds passive, maybe, but it's not. It's this profound acceptance of the present, a daily renewal of commitment, a kind of humble surrender, embracing each day as this precious, singular gift.
But it wasn't just surrender, was it? There was an active part, too.
Oh, absolutely. That simple prayer was paired with this really powerful instruction. Think and live as if that were your last day on earth.
Live each day like it's your last. We hear that phrase a lot.
We do, but here it's framed spiritually. This life isn't a practice run, it's the main stage. It's where we're meant to constantly check in. How much good do we already have in our heart?
So live every moment with purpose.
Huh.
Kindness, contribution, knowing it all counts.
Exactly. It's this amazing balance, isn't it? Surrendering to the day, just one more day, but also living it with total intention as if it's your last.
That really is a powerful way to approach life. Surrender and intention, hand in hand.
And this journey, this path of growth and service, it's not something we do alone or by accident.
Yeah.
The spirits apparently told the speaker that many of the boys of Saturday, that lovely term for the really dedicated, often unseen spiritual workers, many of them have actually heard the Sermon on the Mount directly from Christ himself in past lives.
Wow. Seriously. That implies deep, ancient connections.
It does. It underlines that core belief. There is no accident. Our paths cross for reasons. Our work builds on past efforts across lifetimes. We're part of this long, interconnected tapestry of souls working towards the good.
So bringing Chico's wisdom together, how does that blend of accepting daily limits, just one more day, and living with ultimate purpose, as if it's your last, really define a well-lived life?
I think it suggests that a well-lived life isn't about grand, dramatic gestures necessarily. It's about the quality of presence, intention, and surrender you bring to each ordinary day. It's finding the sacred in the now while keeping the long-term spiritual goal in sight. It's that tension, that beautiful dance between the finite and the infinite, lived out moment by moment.
That dance between surrender and intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels really central. And speaking of intention and purpose, especially on a grand scale, the story behind the Comunhão Espírita de Brasília is just, wow. It's an incredible example of commitment.
It really is. The story of Mario Barada is quite extraordinary.
Tell us about him. He wasn't originally from that spiritual tradition, right?
No, he was actually Protestant. He and his wife, Irene, moved to Brasilia way back in its early days when it was still being built. A real pioneering time.
Okay, so they arrive in this new city.
And it's there he receives this amazing promise from a very respected spiritual entity, Dr. Bezerra de Menezes.
A promise. What was it?
He was told he would become rich, very rich. But there was a condition, a big one.
There's always a catch, isn't there? What was it?
The condition was that he had to use all that wealth to build a spiritual center, the place that would become the Comunhão Espírita de Brasília.
Use all of it, not just donate some, but everything.
Everything. That was the deal.
Okay. So did he get rich? How did that happen?
He did. With amazing foresight, or maybe some guidance, he opened a hardware store, Casa do Brata.
A hardware store.
Yes. And think about it. Brasilia was being built from scratch. His store sold basically everything needed for construction. Nails, wood, tools, you name it.
He's in the right place at the right time with the right stuff.
Absolutely. And just like the promise said, he became very rich, a major supplier for the new capital.
Okay, so he got the wealth. Did he keep his end of the bargain?
And this is the truly remarkable part. He rigorously fulfilled his promise. He poured every single cent of that fortune into building the spiritual house.
Every cent?
Yeah.
Seriously?
The source is emphatic. He ended up absolutely without a penny. Total divestment for this spiritual purpose. An incredible act of faith and sacrifice.
That's almost unimaginable today, to give it all away.
It really is, and there's even a deeper layer. The spiritual guides revealed that many of the people who would later attend or work at the Comunhão, they had actually signed a book of light in the spiritual world when Mario agreed to reincarnate for this specific mission. It was like a pre-planned collective spiritual project.
Wow. So his sacrifice was part of a larger agreed-upon plan involving many souls.
Exactly. It wasn't just his individual act, but a catalyst for a whole community's spiritual work.
That is such an impressive story. It really makes you stop and think about your own commitments, doesn't it? What are we willing to sacrifice for what we believe in?
It forces that reflection, definitely. And it throws into sharp relief the contrast between that level of dedication and what we often see today.
How so?
Well, the speaker in the source need people like Mario, the founders. And she says for them, there's no bad weather, no Saturday, Sunday, holiday, illness, nothing. Their commitment was absolute. Service came first, period.
It was their mission, overriding everything else.
Everything. But then you look around now.
Yeah, it feels different sometimes.
The source puts it bluntly. Any reason is an excuse now. A headache, a party invitation, feeling a bit tired. Reasons not to show up for study groups, youth activities, social outreach work. That deep, unwavering commitment seems rarer.
It feels like convenience often wins out over commitment these days.
That seems to be the observation. And the source warns there's a consequence to this shift. Not like a punishment, but a natural outcome.
What's the warning?
The speaker says starkly, today everything is fine, but it will be difficult on the other side. Again, clarifying it's not a curse, but a reality. Our priorities and actions here have repercussions for our spiritual state later.
So our level of dedication now directly impacts our spiritual future.
That's the strong implication. So Mario's story, the founder's dedication, it highlights the profound, lasting impact of selfless service. And it makes you think critically about our modern culture, doesn't it? This tendency towards instant gratification, personal comfort above all.
Yeah.
Maybe that shift away from long-term commitment and service has spiritual consequences we haven't fully grasped yet, individually and collectively.
That's a sobering thought. Okay, so given all this, the need for inner work, the reality of rescape, the importance of commitment, where do we go from here? How do we actually navigate this, especially when things feel tough, when there's discontent?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? How do we apply these insights? And the sources express real concern, particularly for younger generations right now.
Concern in what way?
The speaker mentions, with real sadness, these heartbreaking cases boys and girls of 9 years old who took their own lives this semester.
Oh, that's just devastating. 9 years old.
It is. It points to this deep struggle many young people are facing, grappling with vices, loneliness, despair, feeling so lost that they choose to leave life prematurely. It's a sign of profound inner turmoil in our society.
So what's the call to action? For them, for all of us.
The plea is to accelerate our process of affection, both for ourselves and others, and to find the courage to look inward.
By asking tough questions.
Exactly. Asking ourselves honestly, why am I dissatisfied? Why am I sad? Why am I always searching for something that never seems to arrive? Facing that inner reality instead of running from it.
When the goal is?
To consciously seek out and find a much more positive way to live. To actively look for peace, connection, purpose, rather than just drifting into despair. It's an urgent call for that internal transformation.
And if we find that courage, if we commit to that inner work, that noble thought,
then the Source offers this incredibly powerful assurance. If you cultivate that inner state, that commitment to good, who can be against us? What energy, incarnated or disincarnated, can affect us? Nobody and nothing can stop us from fulfilling our destiny, which is to be good.
wow, like building an inner fortress of goodness.
Something like that. A spiritual resilience that comes from aligning yourself with positive, noble intentions. It protects your path.
Okay, and this connects to the idea of joy, doesn't it? Not just as a feeling, but as a way of being.
Yes, joy is a life philosophy. The sources say living with joy is absolutely essential. Why? So as not to be surprised by life beyond physical life.
Meaning, we'll be accountable for our joyfulness.
In a way, the implication is that when we transition, we'll be asked about our happy hours and hours of learning. It's about the quality of our experience, the moments of delight, and the lessons learned through challenges. Both count.
So it's okay to struggle, but don't give up on joy.
Exactly. It's normal to feel discouraged sometimes, that's human. But the key is never give up, because there's much to do still. Many people waiting for our hand, our arm, our word.
Even if we don't feel hopeful ourselves.
Even then, the instruction is to speak of hope to others, even if your own flame feels low. Be that beacon, because the danger is letting ourselves get devitalized by negativity, by less dignified things, gossip, complaining, dwelling on the bad. That drains your energy.
And that drain isn't just mental, is it? It shows up physically.
That's the observation. People who don't resolve their inner issues, who hold on to negativity, they often speak weakly. Their voice lacks power, their presence feels diminished. It's like their inner state is literally weakening their physical vitality.
A direct link between unresolved stuff inside and low energy outside.
A very direct link, suggesting holistic health is key.
So, pulling this thread together, it's not about pretending problems don't exist.
Not at all. It's about how you face them.
With what inner strength? What mindset?
Precisely. That internal fortitude, built through self-knowledge and inner reform, is what makes the difference. It's the difference between being overwhelmed by challenges and using them as fuel for growth.
Okay, so building that inner strength relies on some key pillars. Faith comes up strongly, right? And dialogue, and this whole idea of the soul evolving.
Absolutely. These are presented as foundational for living well. Let's start with faith. Dr. Becerra de Menezes had a really interesting take on it.
What was his teaching?
He taught that you don't even need to be physically present somewhere like the Kamunhan Hall to receive spiritual help. Just by mentalizing it, consciously focusing your thought and intention on being there, on connecting, you immediately receive the best energy, the assistance you need.
So faith is more than just belief. It's an active connection.
Exactly. It's not just vaguely having faith. It's described as having absolute certainty that your need has arrived, but so has the help. It's this unwavering conviction that spiritual support is always available, waiting for us to tune in.
Okay, so living poorly in terms of faith would be doubting that help.
Precisely. It's when you let doubt creep in, when you think, okay, time to give up hope, my prayers aren't being answered.
But sometimes prayers aren't answered the way we want, right?
Right. And the sources offer wisdom on that too. Chico Xavier often said something profound. Many things we ask for in prayer, if they came into our life, would be our disgrace and not our happiness.
Wow. So we might be asking for the wrong things. Things that seem good but would actually harm us.
Exactly. Our limited view doesn't always see the bigger picture, the potential negative consequences. So unanswered prayer might actually be a form of protection, guided by a higher wisdom.
Trusting that there's a reason, even if we don't understand it.
That's the essence of it. So living well in this context, it means consistently choosing faith. Wake up in prayer, sleep in prayer, teach faith and prayer to those who come after us.
Passing on that connection.
Because the alternative is bleak. The Source says powerfully, there is no greater loneliness than that lived by one who has lost faith, a deep spiritual emptiness.
And that responsibility to teach faith, it extends beyond our own families.
Yes, to anyone under our care students, colleagues, friends. Even if they don't share our exact beliefs, the core message of hope, purpose, love, that's universal and vital to share.
Okay, so faith is crucial. What about dialogue? How does that fit into living well?
It's presented as absolutely key for resolving issues, both within ourselves and with others. The sources emphasize that ultimately the last word is always ours, meaning we have the agency, the responsibility to choose resolution, whether it's easy or hard.
We hold the key to resolving things.
We do, and the big danger when things get tough is shutting down, withdrawing.
Pulling into our shell.
Right. Discouragement leads to sadness, then maybe melancholy, and then that refusal to talk, to connect. That, the Source says, is the great danger. Apparently, souls on the other side really appreciate it when we work things out here through honest conversation.
So don't isolate. Reach out.
Exactly. Don't think you're alone. If you have an issue with someone, approach them. Gently, maybe. If you're just having a bad day and snap at someone, maybe circle back later and say, hey, sorry I was having a rough morning. Communication prevents festering.
It takes courage, though.
It does, but it's part of that inner reform. And this path isn't about suddenly becoming perfect or waiting for miracles. Look at the spiritual giants. Mentioned Euripides, Barçanufo, Bezerra de Menezes, Kerbar Chattel.
Yeah.
They did not become special people after physical death. They were already putting in the work during their lives. Their greatness came from discipline, study, love for others, consistent effort.
So spiritual growth is a process, not an instant event.
Yeah.
Earned through practice.
Exactly. It's about our personal agency and our own evolution. No shortcuts.
Which leads to this idea of self-analysis and, karmic relationships, right? We can't just ignore stuff.
Definitely not. The idea that you can just play at being happy and ignore your problems, the Source says forget it. Your unresolved issues will be waiting for you.
They don't just vanish.
Nope. And we need to be honest, we all carry baggage from other existences. Weaknesses, patterns. The speaker even jokes, maybe we were cruel or deceitful or thieves in past lives, even if we deny it now.
We all have a history, a soul history.
We do, and that's why our current struggles, our lutas, can feel so intense. The Source suggests it's because we brought close to us people, situations that we had pushed away for 800, 1,000 years.
Wow, 1,000 years. So the really difficult person in my life might be someone I've been avoiding for centuries.
That's the mind-bending implication. They're here now because it's time for resolution, time to finally face that dynamic.
That changes everything, doesn't it? That difficult boss, that challenging family member, maybe they're an ancient karmic appointment.
It gives you a totally different perspective. And the Source offers this amazing, almost humorous way to handle it. Imagine saying to a really difficult partner calmly, you know, my dear, you've actually improved a lot in 1,000 years. I'm the one who hasn't quite caught up yet.
That would certainly make an impact, the 5 minutes of Chan, as they call it.
Exactly. That moment of recognition, that shift in perspective, sometimes it can cut through years of deadlock. Because the core idea is, if you genuinely resolve the underlying karmic issue with that person,
The dynamic changes. They won't look for you in the same way again.
that's the principle. The debt is cleared, the lesson is learned, the energetic tie shifts. The speaker even shares a funny anecdote
Oh, yeah?
about women asking spiritual mentors for like a different type of partner next time around, maybe someone French or Japanese, just for variety, hoping to escape a difficult pattern.
Trying to outsmart karma.
Right. But the mentors gently say, look, if the debt isn't paid, if the lesson isn't learned, he'll find you again no matter what passport he has next time. The connection remains until it's resolved.
You can't run from your soul's curriculum. That's hilarious, but also deeply profound. It explains that feeling sometimes, doesn't it? Meeting someone new and just knowing them.
That instant click, something inside you says, I think I know this guy. It's that echo across time, perhaps?
And all this leads to that really powerful statement. Life has taught me that forever is only us. Only we are forever.
That hits deep. Everything else changes: jobs, houses, relationships, even our bodies. But our consciousness, our spiritual self, that endures. That's the constant.
That's a real anchor.
It is. And it begs a question for all of us. How does really accepting this long view, this deep interconnectedness across lifetimes, change how we see our daily hassles, our relationships.
It transforms them, doesn't it? From random annoyances into purposeful encounters, opportunities for healing things that are centuries old.
Exactly. It infuses the everyday with this incredible depth of meaning and potential for real, lasting resolution.
Okay, so we've covered self-knowledge, inner reform, karma, faith, dialogue, the long view. What's left? Where does this all culminate?
It culminates really in the highest principles: unconditional love and the vital importance of joy. And the sources bring in a very contemporary figure to illustrate this beautifully.
Who's that?
Pope Francis. The speaker talks about seeing him in Portugal, addressing a huge crowd of young people, 1 million of them.
Wow.
And what struck her deeply was his physical state, using a cane, a wheelchair. She really identified, having been in a wheelchair herself for months. But his spirit, his determination to be there, to connect.
His resilience, despite the difficulty.
Exactly. It was incredibly moving for her, a real testament to his dedication and love.
And what was his message to all those young people?
Simple, direct, and powerful. First, a caution. It's very sad who looks from top to bottom. A call for humility.
Right. Don't look down on others.
Then, encouragement. Don't be afraid. Encourage to live. And then this piece of profound spiritual truth. Everything in life has a price. Everything is paid.
Acknowledging cause and effect. Responsibility.
Yes. But then the most liberating part. The only thing that is free is the love of Jesus. Unconditional grace. A gift.
That's beautiful. Love is the ultimate free gift in a universe of consequences.
It is, and that message of universal unconditional love really resonates with what Chico Xavier used to say about other faiths.
Oh, so?
He had such respect. He'd say, what would become of us if it weren't for our Catholic brothers, our Protestant brothers? He saw them as essential parts of the human journey towards understanding things like the immortality of the soul, successive lives, and the love of Christ for all of us. He saw unity in the diversity of paths leading towards that ultimate love.
Recognizing the value in all paths, seeking truth. That's a beautiful perspective.
It really is. And that brings us finally, full circle, back to joy.
Joy as more than just happiness.
Yes. Andre Luis, through Chico Xavier, gave us that incredible insight. Joy is the only thing you can give without having.
Think about that. You can give joy even when you don't feel joyful yourself? How?
It implies that joy isn't just a feeling we possess, but an energy we can generate and share. It's an act of will, an offering, like speaking hope when you feel hopeless.
And this is presented as like a spiritual practice.
Very much so. An exercise, the sources call it. Actively cultivating and expressing joy is said to benefit your vital tone, your energy, even your ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm. That sounds very specific.
It does. In some spiritual traditions, it refers to a subtle energy mediums use. But think of it more broadly as your vital life force, your spiritual radiance. Cultivating joy actually strengthens that core energy.
So choosing joy makes you energetically stronger.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Which is why consciously rejecting negativity is so important. Don't dwell on what is not good, what does not feed our soul, because that negativity impacts everything: physical, psychic, spiritual health. It drains you.
It depletes that vital energy.
Exactly. And this loops back beautifully to those boys of Saturday.
The dedicated workers.
Yeah.
How are they redefined here?
As souls whom God sends anywhere to know how we are doing in terms of overcoming ourselves, making life as beautiful as possible, and never giving up, they're like spiritual scouts, checking on our progress.
And what's their goal? What do they aspire to report back?
Their aspiration is simple but profound. To be able to tell happy things we lived when they leave this earth. Not a list of complaints or regrets, but stories of joy, growth, and contribution. Making the most of it.
Building a legacy of lived joy and learned lessons.
That's the ultimate aim.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, we've really covered a lot of ground. From understanding living well versus living poorly through self-knowledge and inner reform.
Those foundational pillars.
To exploring these fascinating, sometimes unsettling stories of karmic return, rescaped.
Highlighting the long-term impact of our choices.
We looked at the power of mindset, the danger of complaining, the absolute necessity of faith and trusting prayer, even when it seems unanswered.
And the importance of dialogue and taking responsibility for resolving our issues.
And the profound impact of selfless service, like Sumario's incredible sacrifice, contrasted with maybe our modern tendency towards convenience.
I have a real call to examine our own commitments.
Through it all, weaving in wisdom from Andre Luis, Chico Xavier, Pope Francis, aiming to give you, the listeners, some really potent insights into navigating your own journey with more purpose, more joy, and maybe a bit more courage.
and hopefully fostering that deeper reflection on what truly matters, which leads us to that final thought for you to carry away.
Right. Building on that idea of the stories we'll tell on the other side.
Instead of focusing on hardships or complaints, when that time comes for you to review your life from that broader spiritual perspective, what stories will you be able to tell?
What moments of genuine happiness, what acts of purpose, what instances of real contribution will stand out?
Will you feel you truly embrace the opportunities for joy? Did you fully engage with the hours of learning, even the tough ones?
It's really the ultimate deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Into our own existence. What story is your life writing right now?
Exactly. So perhaps take a moment, maybe later today or this week, to mentally step into that future perspective. Ask yourself, what do I want my spiritual legacy to be? Not just in terms of achievements, but in the quality of heart, the joy shared, the lessons learned, the love given.
How can reflecting on that future moment shape your choices today? That's the ongoing exploration.
A powerful question to live with.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring the depths of your own journey.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon. Until next time, take care and have a wonderful and blessed day.